Well, good morning, everyone. This election is about me and my government, no one else. And what we've demonstrated over these past 3 years is our government can't deliver. You know we can't deliver. This election is a choice. You know our government can't deliver. Not just me as Prime Minister, but my Treasurer.
For about 1 in 6 employers getting JobKeeper, their turnover actually rose during the 3 months to the end of June 2020 compared to the year before. Those employers, in just 3 months, accrued more than $4.5 billion in wage subsidies.
Well, there are fresh concerns this morning. 1/5 of JobKeeper payments made to major listed companies in the second quarter of 2020 went to firms who grew their profits during the pandemic.
Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has been asked to front a Senate committee to explain that massive $60 billion miscalculation.
Defence Minister.
Shh. That was a preemptive shh.
Do not deport your people and your problems.
It's, I think, regrettable that she made the comments.
I describe his policy as regrettable. More than that, I describe it as corrosive, and I have for well over a year.
How can these documents be anything other than evidence that the French were lied to at that meeting? And whatever you say about the change in strategic direction, why was it necessary to lie to the French?
Well, Laura, there was no lying to the French.
It basically confirms the French, as a result of what you're saying, had every reason to believe that they'd been lied to, particularly at the 2+2 meeting.
Yes, the French, absolutely. The French were misled by Australia, which is shameful.
The circumstances in the Indo-Pacific had deteriorated quite rapidly over the course of the last few years, and indeed since 2016.
Anyway, it was a good meeting.
Where was it?
Time doesn't mean anything when you're about to be, have water lapping at your face.
Confidential ministerial briefings obtained by 730 through Freedom of Information laws revealed that Peter Dutton went against his own department's recommendations, shifting millions of dollars from some highly rated projects and diverting those funds to other community groups, most of them in coalition or marginal seats. Across several rounds of funding, the audit identified no clear electoral bias, except for the third round, controlled by Peter Dutton. The audit found that coalition-held marginal electorates had a high proportion of funding applications approved. It also found that partial funding for some projects was more likely to be awarded to applicants in safe or marginal ALP seats.
My Home Affairs Minister.
The Home Affairs Minister had suggested a new home could be found overseas, comments she's now walking away from.
I actually haven't said that I'm investigating resettlement options for that family.
On Tuesday, it appeared she did.
Does the government not have the discretion to be able to make a decision on this?
We are going through the process now of investigating a range of resettlement options in relation to a number of different circumstances.
That was backed in by the Foreign Minister.
I understand the United States is the first of those, and that New Zealand is also an option.
It turns out they're not. The family isn't currently eligible to be resettled in either country.
This family does not have refugee status.
Well, in the Migration Act, the minister has very broad discretionary powers, and indeed ministers use their discretion thousands of times a year in cases like these. We've now spent nearly 4 years and $50 million of taxpayer money trying to deport and keeping in detention this family. And this is exactly the type of case where a minister should use their discretion to bring this expensive and sorry saga to an end.
Again, is Scott Morrison the asset that he was 3 years ago for you in a campaign?
The circumstances are very different now. He's a great campaigner. He was a great campaigner in 2019.
It's different now. Is that what you're saying? It's different now.
I'd like to... we need to get him out talking to people. We need to get him out. We need to get him out.
My Foreign Minister.
China has done a deal that could put their troops within striking distance of Australia. Beijing has signed a security pact with the Solomon Islands.
Do you have any plans in place yet to head to the Solomon Islands?
Lee, as you know, the Minister for the Pacific and International Development, Minister Seselja, was there in the last week.
I received some information she was at a fundraiser whilst Zed Sezelja, the junior minister, was travelling to the Solomon Islands. In the last few minutes, Tom, I've heard it was a business dinner at PwC. No funds were raised.
I believe our Foreign Minister should be on the next plane to Solomon Islands to talk with the government.
The fact is, this is the worst foreign policy blunder that we've seen in the Pacific since World War II. And despite Mr Morrison's tough talk on his watch, our region has become less secure and the risks Australia faces have become greater.
My health minister, who served us so well, it's not a race, it's not a competition.
Documents released under Freedom of Information show the Morrison government was given early warning of the global vaccine race. Initiating formal talks with the government in June last year, Pfizer warned the vaccine development landscape is moving swiftly, including through engagements with other nations. We have the potential to supply millions of vaccine doses by the end of 2020. Pfizer invited Health Minister Greg Hunt to discuss its vaccine with senior global executives. The invitation was declined, and it wasn't until weeks later that anyone from the minister's office met Pfizer, by which time Donald Trump and Boris Johnson had already locked in their supply deals. Australia eventually signed a deal in November, 4 months after Pfizer's first contact for 10 million doses.
The Health Minister, a Liberal donor's high-tech flu test, and the meeting Greg Hunt swore didn't take place. Neither the Minister nor his office has, to the best of their knowledge, met with Illume. Any such claim would be demonstrably false, except here he is. September 2017, proudly shaking hands with a company employee holding the flu test inside Parliament House. The employee is Jim Darazit, Illume's product manager and son of chairman and Liberal donor Paul. 24 days after his company's tweet, Paul Darazit made his first donation to the Federal Liberal Party to the tune of $100,000.
Please wear a mask.
Will you be running again?
Pre-selected and running.
Pre-selected and running.
Yep.
2 weeks later,
I honour the House.
Greg Hunt calling it quits at the peak of his political career.
Our team can't deliver after 3 years where we've delivered nothing on almost any measure. Our government is the worst. This election is a choice. It's a choice between our government and integrity, and Australians know it. It's a choice between a strong future and my team. You know that our government can't manage money. Our team has delivered the largest debt levels in years, but we are up front. We are the worst. And you can see our plan. Our plan will deliver nothing. This is the plan. This campaign is incredibly important because there is so much at stake for Australia. Further 3 years of my government is the nightmare scenario. Our future, 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 and our future. It's a choice between a government you know and a stronger future. Only by voting me out at this election on May 21 can you ensure a stronger future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Scott has always had a reputation for telling lies. I'm sure those watching at home have no doubt I am the virus. Pizza, I am the illness.